Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some shocking news about the fast food industry. You know those places we hit up for a quick bite and some fries? Well, turns out they're not doing so hot. We're talking massive chains, household names, the kind of places you see on every corner, shutting down stores left and right. And it's not just a couple here and there, we're talking nationwide closures. So what's going on? Why are these fast food giants struggling to survive? We're about to break it down, looking at the reasons behind these closures, from rising costs to changing tastes to some seriously bad decisions. Get ready to be shocked because some of your favorite fast food joints might be on the chopping block. Let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the big one, the OG, the one and only McDonald's. Yeah, even the Golden Arches are feeling the heat right now. You'd think a company this big would be untouchable, right? Nope. Turns out even they aren't immune to the struggles hitting the fast food industry. We're talking about rising costs, like everything from ingredients to labor just getting more and more expensive. Then there's the whole issue of food quality. Let's be real, people are becoming more conscious of what they eat, and those processed ingredients just aren't cutting it anymore. And to top it all off, McDonald's big push into automation and AI, you know those fancy kiosks? Yeah, well, they haven't really delivered on their promises. Add it all up, and you've got a recipe for disaster, even for a giant like McDonald's. Next up, we've got the Burger King, and let me tell you, it's not a pretty picture. Remember when they were all about that have it your way thing? Well, seems like they haven't been having it their way lately. We're talking about mismanagement, folks. They've been slow to adapt, slow to innovate, and let's be honest, those Whopper campaigns, they just haven't hit the mark. And like everyone else, they're getting hammered by rising beef prices. I mean, when your main ingredient goes up in price, something's gotta give, right? But that's not all. Burger King's franchisees, the folks who actually own and run a lot of these restaurants, are feeling the squeeze. They're facing high costs, low profits, and honestly, some of them are just throwing in the towel. It's a tough time to be the king, that's for sure. Alright guys, we're moving on to Wendy's, the queen of sassy comebacks and of course the Frosty. But even their iconic square patties and sassy Twitter fingers can't save them from the fast food curse hitting hard. Think about it. When was the last time you actually went to Wendy's? They're all about that drive-through life, which seems great until you're stuck behind someone ordering a 10-piece nugget family meal with extra dipping sauce. Yeah, that's been hurting their speed and customer satisfaction big time. And speaking of hurting, let's talk beef. We all know those Baconators aren't cheap, and with beef prices skyrocketing, Wendy's is feeling the heat. They tried to get fancy with some premium menu items, but let's be real, when you're craving a junior bacon cheeseburger, you're not dropping extra cash on some gourmet burger, right? To top it all off, delivery sales took a nosedive, like a 3.4% drop. In a world ruled by delivery apps, that's a big red flag. They're closing stores left and right, and even with their sassy tweets, the future's looking a little shaky for Wendy's. Next up is a place we've all been to at least once. Subway. Remember those glorious days of $5 footlongs? Seems like a distant memory now, right? Well, those cheap subs couldn't save this sandwich giant. We're talking about a brand that closed over 1,200 stores in just 2 years. That's like a whole city of Subways vanishing. And it's not hard to see why. Remember all those scandals about the tuna? Or the fact that their bread might have had yoga mats in it? Yeah, that'll hurt your image. They tried to rebrand, even launched some new subs they swore would change the game. But guess what? It wasn't enough. They're getting crushed by the competition, especially from places like Jersey Mike's, who are all about that fresh-baked bread and high-quality ingredients. And don't even get me started on their franchise owners. Let's just say they aren't exactly happy with the whole low profit margins and rising food cost situation. Subway's in a tough spot, and it's gonna take more than a new spokesperson to dig them out of this hole. Alright, Chipotle, the king of customizable burritos and those delicious cilantro lime rice bowls. But even their addictive queso and guac can't mask the fact that they're facing some serious challenges. We're talking about ingredient costs going through the roof, forcing them to jack up their prices by a whopping 7%. Now, I love a good burrito as much as the next guy, but when a single burrito starts costing you close to 20 bucks, you start to rethink your lunch plans, right? And it's not just the customers feeling the pinch. Chipotle's famous for their food with integrity motto, but maintaining that quality with sky-high ingredient costs? That's a tough recipe to swallow even for them. Remember those food safety scares they had a while back? Yeah, those haven't magically disappeared from people's memories. It's like a bad burrito aftertaste that just won't go away. Meanwhile, places like Sweetgreen are swooping in, all fresh and healthy, stealing away Chipotle's customers. To make matters worse, they tried to ditch those delivery apps and do their own thing. Sounds good in theory, but it's been a logistical nightmare, costing them more money and giving everyone a headache. Chipotle's still a giant, but they're definitely feeling the heat. Alright guys, we're 6 restaurants deep into this list of struggling giants, and it's getting real. Next up is KFC, and let me tell you, the Colonel isn't looking too happy these days. We're talking about a whopping 14.5% increase in poultry prices. That's insane! Imagine how much your 10-piece bucket would cost with that kind of jump. On top of that, labor costs are up 8%. It's a double whammy that's hitting KFC hard. Customers are feeling the pinch, and sales are taking a nosedive. Plus, remember those new menu items they tried to roll out? Yeah, not really flying off the shelves. Turns out people just want that original recipe. Franchise owners are feeling the heat too. They're stuck with rising costs, those expensive remodels KFC wants, and customers just aren't coming in like they used to. Word on the street is over 150 KFCs might close by next year. It's a tough time to be a Colonel. Next up, we're diving into the world of pizza, and it's not looking too cheesy for Pizza Hut. They're facing a major dough lemma with US sales plummeting a crazy 8.1% this year. Ouch! Remember when everyone was ordering online and getting food delivered? Well, Pizza Hut kind of missed that memo. They were slow to adapt to the whole digital ordering craze, and competitors like Domino's and Papa John's swooped in and stole their crust. And get this, cheese, the lifeblood of any good pizza, has skyrocketed in price. That means thinner margins for Pizza Hut on their most popular items. To top it off, they've been closing down hundreds of locations globally since 2020, with whispers of another 400 on the chopping block by 2025. It seems like Pizza Hut is stuck in the past, and they need to find a way to reinvent themselves. Stat. Alright guys, we're talking Taco Bell now, and things are getting a little cheesy. And not in a good way. They've always been known for their cheap eats, but lately their low-cost image is going out the window faster than a cheesy gordita crunch after a late-night party. Sales per location have dropped a crazy 7% this year alone. Why? Well, beef prices are through the roof, and those operational costs are hitting them harder than a fire sauce shortage. And remember those fancy digital kiosks they were so proud of? Yeah, turns out they're glitching out more than a bad internet connection. Add to that some questionable remodeling choices, and you've got a recipe for disaster. It's gotten so bad that nearly 150 franchises have filed for bankruptcy since 2022. That's a whole lot of crunch time for Taco Bell to figure things out. Can they do it? Only time will tell. Arby's, the place known for roast beef and those curly fries, is facing some serious heat. And I don't mean the kind coming from their ovens. They tried to get all fancy with their menu, but guess what? People noticed their sandwiches were costing way more. I'm talking about a serious price hike for a roast beef sandwich. On top of that, imagine going to Arby's craving those juicy curly fries and they tell you, "Sorry, we're all out." That's exactly what's happening. Ingredient shortages are hitting them hard, and it's not a good look. To make matters worse, the people who own the Arby's restaurants, the franchisees, aren't getting much help from the main Arby's company. It's like they're on their own. Meanwhile, places like Jersey Mike's and Jimmy John's are swooping in and stealing their customers. Ouch! Remember when Popeyes dropped that chicken sandwich and everyone lost their minds? Lines were around the block, people were fighting over it on the internet, it was wild. But guess what? That hype died down faster than you can say Louisiana Kitchen. Turns out, relying on one popular item isn't a recipe for long-term success. Who would have thought? This year, Popeyes saw their sales take a nosedive. Part of it is that chicken prices have skyrocketed. It's like everyone wants chicken sandwiches now, which is great, but also makes it expensive for Popeyes. And if you've been to Popeyes lately, you might have noticed the service isn't always the fastest or friendliest. Let's be real, nobody wants to wait forever for a lukewarm chicken sandwich, and word gets around when the service is bad. Alright, we gotta talk about Jack in the Box. They're known for thinking outside the bun, right? Well, they might need to think hard about how to fix things because their sales are hurting bad. Beef prices are through the roof, and instead of figuring out a way around it, they just raised prices on everything. I mean, I get it, business is business, but people only have so much money to spend on tacos and burgers. And get this, some really smart people who analyze businesses, they're called analysts, basically said Jack in the Box might go bankrupt. That's how bad it is. They're literally on a list of the top 10 restaurants in danger of closing down. Fewer people are going to Jack in the Box, and when you're not getting customers in the door, that's a huge red flag. Something's gotta change and fast, or Jack might just end up staying in that box for good. Alright guys, next up is Dairy Queen, and let me tell you, things aren't looking too sweet. Remember those blizzards we all love? Well, the cost of dairy has skyrocketed, and it's hitting DQ hard. Imagine this, almost 25% of Dairy Queen franchises are losing money. It's like trying to fill a cone with a hole in the bottom. They tried adding food to the menu, but it's just not the same. People go to McDonald's for burgers, not Dairy Queen. And with rising costs and fewer customers, some Dairy Queen locations might be melting away faster than a soft serve on a hot summer day. It's a tough situation, and I feel for the franchise owners. They're working hard, but sometimes even the best ice cream can't fix everything. Next up, we've got Checkers and Rally's, and they're facing a double whammy. First, inflation has driven up the cost of all their ingredients, like way up. It's like trying to win a race with the emergency brake on. And to make things worse, customers are experiencing longer wait times at the drive-thru. In the fast food game, speed is key, and right now they're lagging behind. Plus, they haven't quite figured out the whole online ordering thing yet, which is a big deal these days. It's like trying to pay with Monopoly money, it just doesn't work. So, can Checkers and Rally's turn things around? We'll have to wait and see, but right now they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Alright, next up is Hardee's, and they're facing some serious challenges. Picture this. Same-store sales have plummeted and franchise owners are feeling the heat. It's like trying to sell burgers in a vegan convention. It's just not the right crowd. See, corporate is pushing for all these changes, but they're costing franchise owners a ton of money. And to top it all off, they're struggling to attract younger customers who are all about that healthy lifestyle. Salads and smoothies, anyone? They've already closed over 150 locations with Carl's Jr., and it looks like more closures are on the horizon. Can they turn things around? Alright guys, next up on our fast food fallout list is Sbarro, the pizza place you'd always smell before you saw in the mall. Remember those giant greasy slices? Yeah, not so much anymore. See, Sbarro is getting crushed because malls and airports, their main hangouts, are like ghost towns compared to before the pandemic. People just aren't traveling or shopping the way they used to. And on top of that, the cost of ingredients, like cheese and pepperoni, has gone through the roof. So not only are fewer people buying their pizza, but it's also way more expensive to make. That's a recipe for disaster, my friends. A whole lot of Sbarro locations have shut down, and it doesn't look like things are going to get any better for them anytime soon. Next up, we've got Carl's Jr., the place known for its big, juicy burgers and those commercials, you know the ones. But lately it seems like even those ads can't save them. Their sales have been going downhill faster than a burger mobile out of control. They've tried to shake things up with new menu items, but nothing seems to be working. And to make matters worse, they're dealing with the same problems as Hardee's, like rising food costs and people wanting healthier options. Remember, they're owned by the same company. Sadly, this has led to over 150 Carl's Jr. and Hardee's locations closing their doors since just 2023. And I hate to say it, but I think we can expect to see even more closures in the future. Alright guys, we've all been there. It's lunchtime, you're craving something a little fancier than a burger, so you hit up Panera Bread. You get that warm, crusty bread bowl, maybe a salad, a pastry, bam! Suddenly you've dropped 20 bucks. Well, those high prices are catching up with them. People are starting to feel the pinch, especially with so many other, more affordable options out there. And to make matters worse, their digital game hasn't been strong enough to keep up with the competition. Ordering online should be seamless, right? But Panera's had some hiccups, and that's hurt their sales. So, even though they're trying to be the bougier option, those fancy bread bowls aren't flying off the shelves like they used to. It's a tough time to be in the fast casual business, even for Panera. Alright guys, we're on to Domino's, the pizza place that wants to be at your door faster than you can say extra pepperoni. But lately, it seems like their delivery game is struggling. Could be those crazy high cheese prices, or maybe their drivers are tired of getting lost in the delivery maze. In 2024, Domino's saw a dip in delivery sales, and that's a big deal because delivery is their jam. Turns out other pizza joints are stepping up their game with those third-party apps. You know, the ones that let you track your pizza from oven to doorstep? Domino's, it might be time to update that app. Add to that, cheese and labor costs are through the roof, making things tough for some Domino's locations. It's like trying to make a pizza with one hand tied behind your back. And guess what happens when those pizzas arrive late? Customers get hangry, satisfaction goes down, and bam! Domino's starts closing stores globally. Alright, coming in at number 19, we've got Shake Shack. You know, the place with the crinkle-cut fries and those fancy milkshakes? Turns out all that fanciness comes at a price. And I'm not just talking about the menu. See, Shake Shack went for that premium burger experience. But guess what? People weren't always down to pay extra for it. Foot traffic took a hit, and same-store sales went down in 2024. Plus, they tried to open in a bunch of new places, but some of those locations just weren't bringing in the dough. To make matters worse, supply chain issues messed with their costs. So, even though they were charging more, those profits started to shrink. It's a tough break for Shake Shack, but hey, maybe they'll bounce back with a killer new burger. Okay guys, we've reached our final fast food giant on the list, and it's a big one, Starbucks. I mean, who hasn't grabbed a latte or frappuccino from there? But even the Coffee King isn't immune to these tough times. They've been hit with a triple whammy premium pricing backlash, skyrocketing labor costs, and a digital strategy that's fizzling faster than a day-old cappuccino. Remember when everyone was freaking out about those $7 coffees? Yeah, turns out people weren't too happy about that. Foot traffic dropped and same-store sales went down. On top of that, they had to pay their employees more because of those wage mandates. And if you thought going digital would save them, think again. Their app and online ordering haven't been doing so hot, and their overseas stores are struggling too. Starbucks is even closing down locations with predictions of another 500 biting the dust in 2025. Wow guys, we just went through 20 fast food giants that are facing some serious challenges. It's crazy to see how much the market can change, even for the biggest names in the industry. From McDonald's struggling to keep up with the times to Starbucks feeling the heat of its own premium prices, it's clear that these companies need to adapt or face the consequences. But this isn't just about the big guys. It's a reminder that the entire fast food landscape is changing. People are looking for healthier options, better quality, and a seamless experience, whether they're dining in or ordering online. The companies that can figure out how to meet those demands are the ones that will survive and thrive. So what do you think? Which of these fast food giants do you think will bounce back, and who do you think might be headed for trouble? Let me know in the comments below. Outro, that's it for today's video. It's surprising to see so many big names struggling, but it shows how quickly the market can change. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates.